Begin in a tall seated position, whether on the ground or with a support. Hands on your belly, or one on your belly and one on your chest. Just begin to breathe with your mouth closed as best you can, not overfilling, developing the ease of breath, moving down deep into your belly without overexpanding. Fill your body, soften your shoulders. Begin to nod your head. Drop your chin to your sternum and lift your head up. You're not looking for maximum range, just range of motion. Breathe naturally, not necessarily synced up with your head nod. If you're having a difficult time with your shoulders rising or falling, or your breath just kind of being held, change the position of your hands. Beginning to turn your head to the left and to the right. Again, you're not working for maximum range. You're just looking to turn your head, finding new positions. Try leading with your eyes, not just with the movement of your head. Changing the position of your neck and your head will change the position and ability and availability of your whole body. Look up and around. Use your eyes to lead your head. Again, try not to sync your breath up so much with your movement, but just try to let the movement and the breath flow. Moving down and up. Have a half circle from right to left. Each one of these positions is about 4 movements. Tilting your head to your right and to your left. If you have crunching, popping, clicking in your shoulders, using this as an assessment, we'll return to this at the end of the session today. Sitting quietly, just feel the breath move in and out of your body. Reach back and reach forward, rounding your back and opening your spine. Tilt to the right and tilt to the left, maintaining stillness in your pelvis. Let the rib cage expand. Look up into the inside of your arm. As you continue, you may feel like you can go a little bit deeper, watching for the shrug of the lower shoulder. And again, about 4 or so each side. Rotating around the midline of the body. Watch that, again, you're not trying to go to end range motion. You're just trying to see where the body's going. All of this is investigatory. Let your head lead the movement and let your body just follow. Giving yourself stillness and opportunity of breathing, finding balance between inhalation and exhalation. Move to the position on the ground. Move your roller or blocks out from underneath you and gently and slowly roll yourself into the ground. Let your arms drop away from your midline. And if you have a ponytail, just move it out of the way. As you Prepare to move from the ground. Just let yourself settle for a moment. Draw your right knee into your chest and flex the foot, curling your head, and pause for a moment. Do the same thing on your left leg. Flex the foot, curl your chin to your sternum, head to your knee, and then release. We're going to be doing several movements that are going to engage the hips and the spine to open up the shoulders, the hips, and the whole back. Each movement about 4 times. But go as what you need. If you want more, do more. Pause at any time and change the position, or do more in any one direction. Reach around for happy baby's pose, single leg, and hold for about 8 breaths. Just deepening the breath into the space available, and then do some out circles with the knee. Moving the hip around. Going slower if you need to. Pause. Hold the knee with the opposite hand and cross the ankle over the opposite knee. Just feeling that gentle pull coming from the outside of the hip. No reason to go deep into this. We're just moving the movement of the hip. And then go to and circle the knee in the other direction. Again, each of these positions hold about 8 breaths or 8 rotations. Reset and re-go back into your single leg happy baby's pose and just see where you're at. Use it as a slight assessment. We'll return and do the same thing on the other side. Move that leg out, circle around, extending the leg, pulling the leg back. Now doing the same movements on the other side. Hold that left leg, happy baby's pose. You can put your hand on your stomach to give yourself some connection to the movement and the bigness of the breath, the space that the breath gives you inside the hip. Take your time if you need more time or want more time here. And again, begin to circle that knee, out circles. And then take the ankle across the opposite knee, use the opposite hand, and gently find some tensional pull. Again, holding each position about 8 breaths. Again, going back to your circles of your hip. Recheck your happy baby's pose. And then from the ground, make sure your leg is circling around, just giving it that length. Lift those hips and let's find some back extension. Press your hands into the ground, pull your shoulders back and down underneath you. Try not to over-contract your glutes and not lift your ribs too high. Relax your glutes without letting your lower back sink. Pull your hands further towards your heels. Pull your shoulders away from your ears, elongating your neck. Drop your hips down, extend your legs out and across the midline of the mat, reaching up, finding that bow position or banana shape, finding that length on the whole outer side of the body without crunching into the internal rib cage. Look up to your top shoulder, unlace your legs and lower your arms and switch and do the other side, reaching along the diagonal, opening, lengthening, breathing into that side body. Bring your feet up. Just give yourself a rest. Notice what's going on in your body. And begin to do quarter rolls. Right side, hold through the entire leg. A key here with quarter rolls is making sure that knee comes up as far as you can first. So you're not taking the weight of the leg across the midline of the body, but you're allowing the whole body to roll from the hips, really, and around that midline of the body. Take your time as your leg goes over. Again, never really looking to find as far as you can go, but allowing the body to lead in where it's available to go. After quarter rolls lower body, we'll do quarter rolls upper body. Arms out wide to a T. Just moving some objects out of my way. Bring your head up first and then roll across the midline of your body. Head up and reach across your hands. You may notice that as you do this, you'll reach further. Again, the work is not so much to move the pelvis, but to find rotation and movement in the spine. Hold these positions. Look to find space, length. Take some easier, longer breaths on each of the last positions. Remember, it's not so much about the movement, but the space between the movements that you're going to find ease and centering. Rest for a moment. Bring your feet in. Take one arm over your head and roll to the side. Let's get into all fours. Hands and knees, toes curled under as it's comfortable. Of course, a little bit of an adjustment. Let's begin a circling of the shoulders. Roll those shoulders up, around, and back. As I've been working through an issue with my shoulders, I've noticed I still need to move my shoulders a lot, even though there's some tenderness within some movements that I do. If I avoid movements altogether, my shoulders get more and more stiff. So keeping that mindfulness and to move the arms, even though there is some tenderness. Changing the arm position, shifting side to side can help to get underneath the shoulder blades. And this is just a simple modification to move into the wrists and the forearms. It's not really meant to be a push-up, but really just giving some different angles at the wrists, elbows, and shoulders. Turn the hands individually, one back toward the knees, and just keep the forearms nice and long. Try to find some length in that wrist, opening up your hands. Remember, our hands aren't just about our writing or small motor movements, but they are also really intentionally about how we have some strength. And if we're getting stiff in our fingers and we don't use our entire hand, we're going to lose or limit the ability of our movement in our hands and even in our shoulders. Go back to some circles of those shoulders and give yourself that sensation of just more movement. How's that movement now that you've opened up the wrist and back and shoulders a little bit more? Flexion and extension of the spine or cat-cow. Pull the belly in. Remember, don't just go into where it's easy or where it's loose. Try to find that movement deep into the belly. Get long in the neck and the chest. And then just come into a child's pose. Toes point back. Feel your breath against the inside of your thighs. Hands under your shoulder. Take one hand to your belly and rotate towards the ceiling. So a small rotation, but it's really isolating the hips. So we're not just moving. I don't want you to move from the hips. I want you to move from the rib cage. So when we take our hands to our rib cage and rotate up, the hips stay centered. So we don't put undue pressure on that lumbar spine, but we really focus on moving from the shoulder, the ribs, the thoracic spine. Now we're going to go just a little bit deeper. So we're reaching through and back up, reaching through, getting that shoulder to drop down. Notice I'm not collapsing in my head. My head is still staying in line with my shoulders and staying in line with my hips. So avoid letting the head drop or getting too low onto the ground. You're kind of working around the inside aspect of the shoulder into the rib cage. Go back to those shoulder rolls. Feel the movement in the shoulders. Maybe much looser. Maybe you just have more awareness now of how those shoulders are working. Ideally bringing some prep and movement to those shoulders. Let's go to full range of motion in that thoracic rotation, all the way through and all the way up. Hold each position. Again, notice I'm not dropping my head. I'm not collapsing through my internal shoulder. I'm just trying to find range of motion. My hips are staying relatively level. And the other side, of course, reaching through and reaching up. Taking time, using my breath. Once again, recheck those shoulders. And let's do a little waggle. Bring the hips to the opposite shoulder. Or not the opposite shoulder, the same shoulder. Moving the spine side to side. You're going to find after you're done, your breathing is really a little bit more open. Go for a walk after we're done. Reach through those arms, going to a side child's pose. Again, more lateral flexion of the rib wall. And reach dropping the hips to the left heel, reaching to the right side. So similar to that bowed pose or the banana pose, just getting that lateral flexion of the rib wall. This is just a shortened version, in a sense, of the same thing. Bring your hands back to center. And we're going to begin to move backwards and upwards and go through a standing posture, letting your knees drop to your elbows here, just opening up the inside of the hips. Walk your hands back, starting in kind of a wide forward fold. Kind of resetting the pelvis, the lower back to kind of get ready to stand. Walk your hands to your knees, ankles, and just hang forward still, just still in a forward fold. Different positions. Now a more unsupported forward fold, holding the opposite elbows in the hands. Take your hands to the tops of the knees. Find that extended spine. Just allow for the length. The crown of the head reaches forward. Slide the hands down to the shins a little bit deeper. And then begin to rise up, bringing your hips underneath you. Stand tall. Let your arms drop by your sides. So we're going to go through some range of motion with the arms, just like we did when we were seated. Take your arms out wide to a T, palms together, center. Reach those arms to the sky and lower the arms back to the ground. Again, out wide to a T, palms to your center, exhaling, inhaling, reach skyward, and then exhaling, drop down. 2 more times. Exhale. Inhale, reach, and exhale, arms down. Let's do some lateral flexion. Take the arm up, look up at your arm. Remember, the entire body connected by fascia. Each one of these movements not just moves the muscles, but allows the fascia to kind of find some space and release the tension around the muscles itself. Remember, we're standing on our structure, not on our muscles. Holding this last one, just finding some space up that whole lateral side. And then finally the other side, reach up, press into the same side of the foot. So you're not leaning into the lower side. Nice, arms open wide. Then let's take the left arm to the right shoulder, right hand underneath the left shoulder. Hinge back and rotate around. Look towards the lower shoulder. So you're kind of really in a full rotation. And then give yourself that opportunity to just breathe deep into your posture. Find that deep rotation, moving that entire fascial circular line. So a lot of these movements that we've done today have been around moving the body, especially with the breath. Coming up and out of that posture, lowering the arms back down. Let's do the other side. Right hand on left shoulder, left hand on right, pull the arms down. And then rotate, breathing. Head in the opposite direction of the arms. And breathe deep into the belly. Each breath just gives a little bit more information into the body. The spiral line of our body tends to be the tightest because it's a safety mechanism. So we don't over move, over rotate, but we can also get very tight in those positions as well. Come back to center. Just notice how your body's feeling in the midline. Come to the top of your mat. We're going to go through a small flow. Get ready for it. You're going to see how the body can kind of work in ease of movement for me, and then kind of that side where your body just kind of glitches every now and again. Stepping back, hinge, reach those arms up. Each movement goes with your breath now. Exhale, lower, inhale, step together, and then rise up away from the ground. Exhale down. Repeat again. Take those arms up and over your head, reach. Hinge to slight chair pose, reaching that right leg back, reach up, arms separate and lengthen. Bring your hands back to center and feet underneath you. Reach skyward with an inhale, exhale, lower. Inhale to reach, exhale, hinge, inhale, step back and reach skyward, exhale, lower, inhale, step together. Again, reach and lengthen skyward, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale, hinge, bring your hands to your center. Right leg steps back, reaching skyward, and lower those arms down, stepping together, reaching up. Exhale down. Breathing, reach up. Exhale, hinge, stepping left leg back. Breathing, just a nice easy flow. Feeling each movement, finding some balance as you step back. Letting the body not just be led by the movement, but led by the breath. Inhale to reach. Exhale, hinge. Inhale, reach skyward. Hold. Exhale, down. Inhale and exhale. I like this small flow because it's just a simple way to get that lunge, which is kind of a safety movement, and as well as some balance, and then coordinated of the movement and the breath. All right, let's take those arms up. Hinge, dive forward. This is where it's going to get fun. Left leg steps back, drop the left knee, take both arms skyward. Now, as you come down, you're going to rotate that back hip and knee and go into a side angle stretch. Reach high and then overhead. So we can do this with long legs. We've done this standing up. I just wanted to do it in a shortened position. Curl the back toe, lift the back knee and step forward and reach high. Now we're going to do this on the left side or on the other side, right side. And it gets a little funky for this first one for me. Exhale, dive forward. Right leg steps back. Oops, see, I forgot the lunge. Take the arms up. And then here's where my brain kind of loses its mind a little bit. What? Where am I going? Oh, yeah, up, no, down. Take the arms up, overhead, reach. And I kind of reset it. We'll get it better the next time. Good. Step forward and then reach up nice and skyward. Hands back to the center. And let's do the whole thing again. Let's see if we can get it straight this time. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale, step back. Drop the knee. So I'm taking more time. Inhale, take your arms up and overhead. Lengthen. All right, lower the arms. Turn that left hip. Drop into the right arm. So I've got this side angle. Working the inside of the hip and the outside of the hip. Back into the lunge. And then underneath. Take those arms back up and overhead. Reach. Hands come together. Good. And let's do the other side. Exhale, dive forward. And right side steps back. Yep, hold that lunge. Drop the knee. Take those arms up and overhead. Reach. Now exhale. Beautiful. Yeah, look at she did it. Reach overhead, lengthen. This is a nice movement from the knee over to the arm, just giving some space without overly working on balance, but getting those hips and side ribs really nice and even. Take your arms up and overhead. Exhale down. Inhale, take those arms up. Exhale, dive forward. And let's just step back to all fours again. hands under shoulders, and sit back into a nice long child's pose. This always gives your body the chance to just kind of reset itself, connect, and breathe. Bring yourself up and feet around. Nice and tall. Make sure you have enough space, and then roll yourself back into the mat. Extending right leg and left. And just breathing. Bringing this kind of session just about to a close. Just settle your breath. Eyes rest back, rib cage softens, legs settle, arms release into the floor. Bring one hand again to your belly and to your chest, creating context into your breath. Easy breathing. Remember, it's not about big breaths. It's about finding your breath. Roll to one side. Bring yourself up. You can sit back on your block or your roller. We're going to recheck all those positions again. Well, not all of them. We're going to recheck the position of nodding the head. Just kind of see how the body is kind of taking in the breath again. And if that movement just feels a little bit more rested and at ease. Sitting nice and tall. Let your arms rest into your inner thighs. And then begin to nod your head. Again, you're not moving necessarily with your breath, but you're allowing your breath to lead the movement. And just notice less clicking, cracking, popping, more range of motion. How does this feel now, sitting upright even? How's the hips feel as you're sitting in this open position? Turning your head right and to the left. Good. Let's pause. Palms to center. Connected, aware, grateful. Take those arms up and overhead, taking in the breath. These are real nice times to just kind of open up the chest, breathing, lengthening, finding that space, and be well.